Fox 61 News at 5 starts now.
Right now at 5, a community calling for hate crime charges after video shows a man pushing an 11-year-old off his bike. We'll tell you why people say town leaders aren't doing enough.
It really is crying out for a uniform policy here.
And questions remain after a man is left paralyzed while being transported by police. Officials are now calling for new protocol. We'll hear what they're saying.
The city of New Haven officially has a new police chief. We'll hear his plan for the future of the Elm City.
It breaks my heart because he should be here.
Plus, a local mother raising awareness after a virus kills her baby son just weeks after he was born. We'll hear her message to other parents about what to look out for.
Thanks for joining us here in the news at 5. I'm Ben Goldman.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. We begin with first activists for the Black community calling for a Deep River man to face hate crime charges after a video shows him pushing an 11-year-old off his bike.
Jamison Chapman currently faces third-degree assault, risk of injury to a child, and breach of peace charges. Those activists telling Fox 61's Tony Black the current charges don't go far enough.
We feel as though this is more of a hate crime than it is a risk of injury to a young kid.
This video in Deep River last Monday shows 48-year-old Jamison Chapman pushing 11-year-old Daniel Duncan off his bike, injuring the 6th grader. Activists for the Black community call it harassment. Reverend Dr. Boise Kimber alongside Duncan's mom Wednesday, saying this would be a different situation if he was white.
We are in Deep River, Connecticut, and there are not many of us.
Chapman faces assault charges but does not face any hate or bias charges at the moment. They believe he should.
Why did he have to single out this one biracial Black individual?
Desiree Dominique says her son is still traumatized and she's concerned there are people in Deep River sticking up for Chapman.
We have to stay present and we have to stay diligent and awake.
They would like town leaders and school officials to sit down with the family to discuss what happened and what can change to prevent it.
This family is in danger in this community.
The town's first selectman says they're planning public forums and workshops here at Town Hall to address this issue. But the activists say those meetings are no good if there's not African Americans at the table to share their perspective.
We certainly want to have minority representation in the room.
Angus McDonald is the town's first selectman and says all voices should be part of the discussion. He says they welcome outside input who can advise them on the best way to continue.
I want this to be a dialogue. This is the beginning of a conversation that should be happening all the time.
Activists say this type of incident should not happen to anyone and that engagement will help defeat hate. In Deep River, Tony Black, Fox 61 News.
We did reach out to the state attorney's office pursuing charges against Chapman. We wanted to see what they're waiting for in determining whether or not they'll pursue hate or bias crime charges. We're still waiting to hear back.
Well, all new at 5, the U.S. Justice Department is monitoring the ongoing investigation involving Richard Cox.
U.S. Attorney Vanessa Avery released a statement this afternoon saying in part, quote, "My prayers are with him and his family. If federal action is warranted, the Justice Department will pursue every available avenue to the full extent of the law," end quote.
The New Haven Police Department's arrest of Randy Cox has put the police department in the national spotlight. Cox was paralyzed after sustaining a severe injury to his spine while in police custody on June 19th.
But the mayor and board of alders believe they have the right man to lead the department moving forward, even in the face of intense scrutiny. Fox 61's Tony Terzi joins us live from New Haven, and he attended today's swearing in of Carl Jacobson as the new chief of police. Tony.
There's been a revolving door for sure here at New Haven Police Headquarters with regard to the chief's office. Spoke to one officer today who said, in my 15 years I've been here, Carl Jacobson is now my 10th police chief. But the new chief says he's in it to win it over the long haul. After nearly 3 years as assistant chief, Carl Jacobson's new badge says chief.
It means a lot of responsibility. It means a lot of people in a large community are counting on me, and I think I'm up for the challenge.
A challenge including what followed the June 19th arrest of 36-year-old New Haven man Richard Randy Cox, who became paralyzed while in the custody of New Haven police. Rebuilding the community's trust, priority number one for Chief Jacobson.
And you build that by giving people a voice. If we gave Mr. Cox a voice, we wouldn't have a protest Friday. Treatment with dignity. If we treat him with dignity, we wouldn't have a protest Friday.
Friday afternoon at 5, the NAACP is conducting a march to New Haven Police Headquarters, where the chief and Mayor Justin Elliker will be waiting.
I think it's very important. I've worked very, very hard to engage protesters and people that want to have conversations about how to make the city better.
And the mayor says there are numerous reasons the Board of Alders unanimously confirmed Jacobson last night.
He's someone with an open heart, a very thoughtful mind, and a steady hand. And that's the attributes that you want to see in a police chief.
But there is another challenge, staffing in a department that's roughly 100 officers short of what they are budgeted for.
The biggest recruiting tool is your officer saying, hey, I work there. It's a nice place to work. I like it here.
But many left New Haven when the union was without a contract for over 3 years recently, and now the contract is up again. Yeah, the contract expired last week, June 30th. And the chief said today he and the mayor and other folks with the city need to get to work to get these cops a good contract. There is some good news in terms of the numbers of officers here. Tonight, some 20 graduates. In fact, in about a half an hour from now at 5:30 at Woolsey Hall, some 20 officers will graduate from the academy. And during that ceremony, the chief is expected to name his 2 new assistant chiefs. We're live here outside police headquarters. I'm Tony Terzi, Fox 61 News.
Tony, thank you. Should prisoner transport vans be required to have seatbelts? That's the new question that some lawmakers are thinking about in the wake of the Richard Cox incident in New Haven.
Fox 61's Matt Caron joins us live from the state capitol after speaking to lawmakers and law enforcement officers about current policies. Hi, Matt.
Well, guys, today I discovered that very few law enforcement departments actually use those large prisoner transport vans. The ones that do are the big city departments like New Haven, for example, also Hartford, New Britain, and Waterbury. And while some of those vans do have seatbelts, others do not. Richard Cox is now paralyzed.
That's why we need to do a thorough examination of this in the next legislative session.
During the last legislative session, Senator Looney proposed a bill that would have required law enforcement to immediately provide medical attention to anybody complaining of illness or injury at the time of their arrest.
One of the benefits of it is that it would prevent the police from having to be in a position of trying to evaluate how serious somebody's complaint is.
Right now, different departments have different prisoner transport policies.
We don't have cages in our car like some of the local agencies do.
State police, for example, don't have transport vans. Their cruisers only have the ability to transport one person at a time. They're handcuffed behind the back and seatbelted into the front passenger seat.
We practice a lot in the academy on how to put people inside of a vehicle, how to seatbelt them in, how to take them out of the vehicle, just to ensure that nobody gets injured while we're dealing with our prisoners.
Local departments like Windsor Locks,
modern policing, this is what we use,
are equipped with rear seat cages, which include hard shell seats, a plexiglass divider, window guards.
We do have seatbelt restraint that the officer will put on.
And yes, seatbelts.
The prisoner is contained in a very small area, and that's good for all of us. He or she doesn't bounce around very much. They're contained, unlike a van.
All this while lawmakers continue to discuss if statewide changes are needed.
It really is crying out for a uniform policy here.
Specifically, Senator Looney told me that he is considering drafting legislation that would create a standardized policy for how departments should handle prisoner transports. And lawmakers are also considering whether it should be mandatory for those prisoner transport vans to have seatbelts. We're live in Hartford, outside the Capitol. Matt Caron, Fox 61 News.
All right, Matt, thank you. Want to switch gears, get to the weather watch here. Temperatures back up today, giving us a bit of a warm day, but luckily just a little bit less humid. Chance ahead for some showers tomorrow and Friday, it seems like.
Look at that shot. Looks like lots of blue sky. Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank joining us now with a look at what to expect tomorrow. Hi, Rachel.
Hi. We could really use the rain. Unfortunately, we're not going to get a whole lot of it over the course of the next couple of days. Right now, overlooking Groton, we're seeing a fair amount of clouds, 84 degrees. And I just got this picture in from Antonietta Barbado at Hammonasset Beach, and she said things were looking pretty ominous there for a little while. No rain coming out of these darker clouds, though, and some of these are actually kicking farther south now, and you're seeing more sunshine out the window. But the clouds will come right back in again tomorrow, though it looks like most of the rain stays away. There is a chance for an isolated shower or sprinkle in spots Thursday and Friday, but things are looking drier than we previously were thinking over the course of the last couple of days or so. Taking a look at the numbers out there, it was the warmest at the beach, 87 degrees right now for the New Haven area. What a beach day, 85 for the Hartford area, and upper 70s. The coolest spots are in the hills. That's the current temperature for Torrington. It is such a good evening to take dinner outside, whether you are getting it at a restaurant or just on your deck. I mean, temperatures will be in the low 80s right around dinner time. We stay dry. Again, a mix of sun and clouds, although we are generally breaking for more sunshine as we speak. Heading into the day tomorrow, a touch of humidity, but generally comfortable. We're going to begin with temperatures in the 60s, and I think it is a good evening to open the windows if you wanted to. Heading towards lunchtime tomorrow, we're in the mid 70s, and we'll see high temperatures in the upper 70s to right around 80 degrees as we head through the afternoon. So cooler compared to the weather that we've had out there today. Again, slight chance for a shower. This weekend looks beautiful. We'll step you through it. Full forecast coming up in just a bit.
All right, thank you, Rachel. In Stanford, firefighters rescue a woman who was trapped under a Connecticut transit bus. Officials say the woman was struck by the bus at the intersection of Broad and Atlantic Streets. Crews arrived on scene 2 minutes after the call. Look at them all trying to help. We're told the woman was conscious and able to talk to firefighters the entire time. She was saved in less than 10 minutes and was taken to the hospital with only minor injuries. Stanford police are now investigating the incident.
Well, 6 firefighters were injured after battling a fire at New Milford High School Tuesday. Officials say it started on the roof of the school and then spread inside. A number of crews from the surrounding area were brought in to help put out the fire. The fire comes after another roof fire at the high school back in December. 5 of the firefighters have been released from the hospital, while 1 is being held to be observed.
And we're following developing news in New London, where police are investigating a deadly shooting. It happened late last night near Coleman and West Pleasant Street. They responded to reports of gunshots and found a male victim. He later died at the hospital. Police say the incident doesn't appear random. Anyone with information should contact New London Police.